Hi, I'm Mary, and this is Athena's Bibliotheca. And in this video today, I'm going to be participating in Summerween, which I am super excited about because I feel like Summerween and Winterween, they're usually readathons that I always prepare a TBR for and then never follow through with it. But this time, I'm videoing it, so I have to follow through, right? If you are unaware of what Summerween is, let me inform you that it is a readathon that's hosted by Gabby Reads, and I'll leave her announcement video for it down below if you have never watched it. And if you haven't seen Gabby Reads' channel before, definitely check her out because she's fantastic and I love her channel. But today we're starting Summerween, and I'm super excited. Except this morning I did have a dentist appointment, but it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. I'm going to talk you through my TBR or what I have planned for it. There's only certain prompts, but Gabby also made this bingo board that I also want to black out for the readathon. We'll see if that happens, but I'm going to show you the books that I have planned for it. The other extra prompts, like there's a listen to a Halloween playlist, make a treat, Halloween treat. I don't know what I'm doing though for those yet. I have the books that I want to use planned though. Whether or not I actually use the books that I tell you is up for debate. But at the moment, these are what I am planning on reading for the book prompts. Starting with the top right corner is the read a book in the dark prompt. And for that, I'm going to read Capitalism, a Ghost Story by Arundhati Roy. I don't really know what this is about. I know that it is a nonfiction about capitalism in India, I want to say. Yes, it's about capitalism in India, and if you've seen my past videos, you know that this is not normally something that I read, but I am trying to participate in the Boundless Book Club hosted by the story over on her Bindery community. I'll link her below. She also is the creator of the Anti-Brain Rot Challenge, so that is why this is on. It's a black cover. It says a ghost story, and it's pretty short. It's like less than 100 pages, I think. Yeah, it's less than 100 pages without all of the like extra notes and stuff in the back. It's 96 pages to be exact without all the notes and stuff in the back. And I thought it would be perfect for reading in the dark. So that is what I'm going to be doing. Then the top middle prompt is read a horror or a thriller. And so I have chosen My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I have had this on my TBR for too long. I'm excited to get to it. Also, not very much in my wheelhouse of genres. I don't normally read thriller and horror. I know I did that one episode of Reading Literally Dead Book Club picks. Obviously, I have not continued that yet. I will eventually, hopefully, because I really like that series, but at the moment, this is the horror thriller in my picks for right now. And hopefully I enjoy it because usually if people like Grady Hendrix, they like this one the most. So I have high hopes. I think I said the top right before when I talked about reading a book in the dark, but you know, now I'm going to talk about the top right of the bingo board, and that is read a book with red on the cover. And for that, I'm going to read Capitalists Must Starve by Park Soo-yeon and translated by Anton Purr. Again, this is another book for the Boundless Book Club. I, again, don't know much about it, so I'm going in pretty blind. I know that it's in Korea. It's based in Korea. It says, a stirring portrait of resistance from below, fierce, funny, and full of fight. So we'll see. Hopefully I enjoy it, but it's again very short, so I have hopes that I will fly through it, or at least be engaged with it for it. So let's see. Fingers crossed that I have fun with this. Well, as fun as you can when they're talking about these topics, because I think that there's some not so, like, topics that are going to make me angry more than happy, but you know, you can still enjoy a book that makes you angry. So the middle left square is read a book with vampires in it, and I'm going to read Vampires Never Get Old, an anthology by Zarada Cordova and Natalie C. Parker, or edited by them, I guess. But there is a story by them, so I don't know. It's a vampire book, and hopefully I read it. My plan is to read a couple of these stories a day, and I should be done by the end of the readathon. That's the plan and the hope. Have I started it yet today? No, but I still got time, so we're fine. The last reading prompt is to read a book that was released in 2025, and for that I have chosen Of Ink and Ash by S. Strahan. And this, out of all of my list of books, scares me the most because I actually know this author, and I'm so scared of disliking this book, and then I'll have to tell them I don't like their story, and I don't want to do that. But I'm also excited. Like, I think I will like it, and the only reason I'm nervous about it is because I know the author, and I'm like, I don't want to tell you that I don't like your story. But I will read it, and hopefully it's all good things. So we'll see. Now that I have informed you of the books that I'm going to read, hopefully you have a fun time watching me read all of them. Right, Mary? You're gonna read all of them? Maybe I will. Who's to say? Let's get on to reading for Summerween. I figured I should update you before I go to sleep. I'm a little tired. It's getting on the later side for me anyway. I guess it's not that late, but I feel like I should be asleep right now. And I figured I should let you know about my reading for the day. As you saw, I was able to get 2 sprints, which I wasn't 100% sure if I would be able to, but they were still on when I got back, because after I filmed the intro clip, I ended up having to go to town to get some stuff for my mom. So I did that, and then I came back and they were still on sprints, so that was exciting. And did I start from the beginning and like just 2 times it to catch up? Yeah, I did. Because that is just the type of person I am. I need to see the whole sprint session, or I feel weird about it, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about. I did get some reading done. I don't know. I'm gonna talk about the 2 stories I read in Vampires Never Get Old. I thought they were okay. I thought that there's like an introduction from the editors about coming up with the idea for the story, coming up with this anthology idea. I thought it was interesting. Starts the thing, and then the first story is called 7 Nights for Dying by Tessa Grattan, and I thought it was okay. I thought it was interesting, I guess, but I think it went too sexual for me. Like, it just went too sexual for me, and I guess that's just all you need to know. Maybe other people would like it more, but I'm just like, we could have just done without that. But like the vampire parts of it were interesting, and I liked how they did the whole like turning of a vampire in this story. Also, after each story, the editors come in and write a little short snippet about something that was different about this specific story, I guess, is what they're doing. So like the little snippet that they wrote about this first story was on like how vampires are made,
and I thought it was interesting, but like I feel like it also didn't really add anything to it much. Just stuff that I already knew about vampires for the most part, except for the like it lists some theories that people have on how, or well, myths on how vampires exist, I guess. And one of them is a wolf jumping over your grave will make you rise up like as a vampire, which I'd never heard before, or at least I don't think so. And I thought that was interesting because, like, usually when you hear about vampires and werewolves, they're usually enemies. So I just thought that was interesting. And the next one was called The Boys from Blood River. And I thought it was creepier for sure than the first one. And it started out like okay ish. And then when the actual vampire part comes in, very much more heavily, I was like, this is weird. I don't like this. So when I when I was writing in my notes about it, I was thinking that I liked the second one more than the first, but now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, I might like the first one better. It doesn't really matter because I didn't really like either of them that all that much. I liked certain parts in them, but overall, would I read them again? Probably not. So that's looking good for this anthology, but it's weird. This is why anthologies are so like hard to like want myself to read because I know that not every single story in this anthology is going to be for me, and that every single anthology I've ever read is like that, as in there's always going to be something I don't like about it. Usually one of the main things that I find in short stories specifically is that they never really have a satisfying ending for me. They end just before the stuff that I want to know happens, or like they don't fully flesh out everything. They leave a lot to your imagination about what you think is going to happen. And I'm like, no, please tell me what's going to happen. I would like to know. And then the next book is the one that I was most scared about. So I was like, I should probably pick up this one first. So then I don't have to worry about it. That's such a bad, weird thing to say. Like, it sounds like I don't want to read this at all, but I really did want to read it because I knew the author, and that's for Of Ink and Ash. I actually got pretty far. I got about a third of the way into it, so 94 pages, about a third of the way in. And this is another one that I'm like, which is not great because I don't want to have to tell the person that I don't know if I'm liking this. I okay, I think that it's getting better as I'm going, but I don't know if that's just I'm getting used to all the metaphors and not or not, because that's what was holding me up in the first part is that there was so many metaphors trying, like the metaphors were trying to explain stuff. And I'm like, I do not understand what you're trying to say with this metaphor. Like I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't know what this means. So yeah, anyways, that was my thoughts. And now about a third of the way in, there's some more intriguing things happening that I am curious about, but also there's like a type, so the magic in here is hasn't been fully explained, or at least I feel like it hasn't been explained very well yet. It's has to do with book binding and book mending, book making, I don't know, but it has to do with books and how they're made or written, something with, I don't know how it works. And I'm not, and something like so the main character, Alara is a book mender, and at the start of the story, a man shows up late at night with this book, and he wants her to try to repair it, and she says, Sure, I will try. I'd make no promises, but I will try to mend it because this book is like had been in a fire or something maybe. I think it was like burned. So she takes it and weird things start happening as she's trying to fix this book or looking at it to see what she can do to repair it. And I don't know what else to say without spoiling things, but that happens. And then as she's taking care of this book, she starts to uncover some things about herself, or at least it sounds like she's uncovering them about herself and she didn't know. And like the stuff is interesting. I'm just not fully sure I understand what's going on. And that might just be a me problem and not a book problem. I might not, as a reader, need to know yet. Like, it'll be explained further, which is what I'm hoping. Like, I hope that it gets more explained about what is happening and what's going on, and not with a metaphor. Please, not with a metaphor. So, at the moment, it's okay. I'm not like dreading picking it up, except for the fact that I'm not 100% enjoying it. So that means I have to tell the author that I'm not 100% enjoying it, and I don't want to do that because I'm a people pleaser. But I also don't want to be dishonest. So I hope it gets better. So I just have to say the start wasn't great, but it got better. I think that's better than I didn't like it the whole way through, which is not accurate because I have started to enjoy it more, as I said before. It's just still not 5-star yet, if that makes any sense. It totally makes sense. You are a reader, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, those are the first things that I read for Summerween. Not very, I guess the vampires are. I was just about to say this doesn't seem very Summerween, but I have read about vampires and the town that Luneth Hollow, I think, is called Luneth Hollow, where the story is set and where it's called the Binding Post, which is where she works or where her binding studio or whatever binding shop, book mender shop is called. Is in Luneth Hollow, and it's kind of a creepy, foggy type of story. Kind of makes me think of how I can't remember the town, but the town in One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig is described. That's how it makes me feel. Like it's not. I don't think it's as described as well as it was as that town in One Dark Window was, but I do. That's what the vibes are to me. Like it's a very foggy town and it seems spooky. I mean, spooky things have happened. Spooky things have happened. I'm not gonna deny that. Anyways, so I guess I am in the Summerween. Why do I keep saying Summerween? I like I was like already started editing this video, and the amount of times I've said Summerween instead of Winterween is actually too many, and I am kind of, if that upsets anyone, I'm sorry because it's probably still gonna happen even after this. That's all I have to say. I am going to get ready to go to bed and go to sleep. So, peace out. So, I will say that I haven't read that much today, but I did get to the 2 stories in this anthology, which I would say is a success. I did read more of Ink and Ash, but I haven't gotten that much further, so I don't have very much more to say at the moment. So I'll update you tomorrow, hopefully, after I read more. But then again, I have to work tomorrow, so we'll see how much I get actual reading done tomorrow. Anyways, but for the 2 stories in here, I can't remember the names of them because why would I remember the names? Crazy that you'd think I would remember anything like that. So the first story was Senior Year Sucks by Julie Murphy, and that one was about a vampire slayer, and I actually quite enjoyed that one. The only thing that I have really to say negative about it is it felt more like a start of a larger story. Like it needed to be a novel, not just a short story, if that makes any sense. It felt like a setup to a larger story is what I'm getting to saying. So while I enjoyed it, I feel like I didn't get the full story, which is, I guess, what I feel like a lot of the times with short stories, as I've said previously. And then the next one was called The Boy and the Bell by Heidi Helig. And that one is about people getting buried alive, but they're dead. But they just turn into vampires once they're buried. And that's what it's talking about. I actually thought this one was quite interesting as well. So 2 of these were better than the ones that I read yesterday. But I wanted to say is that I actually found the ending to this one quite satisfying. So that was good. I would like just before the like climax part of the story, I was like, please do this, please do it. And they did. And I was like, thank you. Because that's exactly what I wanted you to do. They deserved it. Anyways, it's hard to talk about short stories without like spoiling things. I tried to do my best. But anyways, so that's really all I've read today. I did listen to a Halloween playlist, so that's good. I have 2 boxes checked off of my bingo card, so I guess I am making progress in that way, but have not finished a book yet. I mean, I knew I already wasn't going to finish this one, but I was kind of hoping that I would finish this one today. I just didn't feel like reading. I read more than I thought I was going to, if I'm being honest. I just didn't feel like reading. And maybe that is partially due to the fact that this book is just okay. Who's to say? Hopefully I can read some before work tomorrow. That is my hope. And that I can get at least finish the 2 short stories in this before. I hope that I can get this finished, but I have doubts. But the day after tomorrow, I have off and don't have anything planned that day. So hopefully I can get some catching up to do so that I can finish all the books that are on my TBR for this readathon. We'll see what happens. I will see you in day 3 of Winterween. So I didn't actually update you on day 3, which kind of, I really should have expected that because I don't give myself a lot of time to do other things besides work on days that I work. But I did read one of the stories in this at least, so I guess that's good. I'm gonna try to read 3 stories today in it to catch up with my 2 stories a day thing. I will say, so the story I read was called A Guidebook for the Newly Sired Desi Vampire by Samari Ahmed. I think that story was my favorite one so far because it was funny and I really enjoyed the humor. Also, I don't know, I just really liked it a lot. So, my favorite story so far, which hopefully means that I'm just going to continue to like them because the first 2 I didn't really like that very much, and then it progressively got better. So, maybe, we'll see.
hopefully, fingers crossed, that the stories continue to be up my alley. I haven't done much else today. I haven't even read anything yet today. So there's that. I did help take down the Christmas tree, which is not very Winterween of me, but it is something that I did today. I did some math because I determined how many pages I should have been reading each day to be able to read all the books that I had on my TBR. And if I want to catch up, because I was behind like the first day that this started, I still have yet to one time reach my goal of, I think it's like 173 pages that I have to read each day. I still have not gotten that once yet. So if my calculations are correct, if I want to catch up today on the 173 pages a day thing, I have to read 459 pages, I think, which is kind of insane for me personally. I doubt that I'm going to be able to catch up that much. I'm going to try. No promises at all. But that is the goal that I have, I guess. My unreachable goal, but it's there. But if I do that, that means that I would have I'm still going to be doing just the 3 stories. So I would finish the 3 stories, and then I would finish of Ink and Ash. And then I could start something else because there's still quite a few pages after I finish those things. I think it's like 200 pages or something after I finish the 3 stories in the Vampires Never Get Old anthology and the rest of Ink and Ash that I have to read. So we'll see if that happens. I don't know what book I want to read next. I'm thinking of picking up one of the Boundless Book Club picks and then doing the My Best Friends is an Exorcism and then doing another Boundless Book Club pick, because then I'd space them out a little bit. That I think is my plan. I don't know which Boundless Book Club pick I'm going to choose, but I haven't even finished Vampires Never Get Old and of Ink and Ash yet, so that is future me's problem. So now that I updated you, I think I should get reading, because obviously I need to do that. At least if I want to read all the books that I've placed on my Winterween TBR. It has been a little bit since I updated this vlog, but I have been reading, which I'm happy about because I did not get distracted by YouTube like I always do. So I have read the 3 stories in Vampires Never Get Old that I wanted to, which makes me excited. I'm excited about that. The first one that I read was called In Kind by Kayla Whaley, and I liked this one, which is weird to say if you ever read this story to find out what it's about, but it also made me so uncomfortable because of the topic at hand, but I did enjoy it. Question mark, I guess. Even with it making me uncomfortable. So take that what you will. I don't know what else to say about it without spoiling the whole story, so that's all you're gonna get, I guess. The next one was called Vampires Never Say Die, which was by the editors of this book. So it was by Zoraida Cordova and Natalie C. Parker. This one's my favorite one so far, I think. I really enjoyed this one, especially since it's focused on a platonic relationship, and I really liked that a lot. And I was even satisfied with the ending, which, as I've talked about before, I don't feel very often in short stories. And then the final story that I read was called Bestiary by Laura Ruby, and I thought that this one was kind of boring, not gonna lie. It sounds interesting when you hear the premise, but also, like,
it wasn't. So it didn't really go anywhere, in my opinion. So I just thought it was okay, which is wrong, which kind of defeats the whole going up in the world that I was hoping for. But it wasn't bad. Like I didn't dislike it, but it wasn't great either. So there's that. So those are the 3 stories in this book that I read today. And then I did finish Of Ink and Ash by S. Strahan. And this was also okay. It was kind of confusing still, even after they stopped using so much metaphors. I did start liking, so like maybe like this, I like started to like it a little bit, and then towards then in the ending, it started doing like it started jumping a little bit in time, so it felt like I was missing part of the story. But I did enjoy like the ending, if that makes any sense. Like this little bit between the climax, the beginning slash the beginning of the climax, and then there's like the like ending of the climax portion is what I was like a little confused by. And then the actual ending of the story where they're wrapping everything up, I thought was well done. So take that what you will. But overall, I would say it was okay. So I don't know. I don't want to like be mean to the story because I know the author and I don't want to be mean to it. So take that into consideration, I guess. I'm just being honest that the fact that I know this author makes me really sad that I didn't 100% enjoy it. Not gonna lie. Those are the updates. And have I read anything else? No. I did tell you that to meet my, like, to finish everything that I need to finish, or like all of my TBR, I would have had to read more. It's like 200 more pages or something. I don't 100% believe that I will get anything at all read by tonight. So maybe I will. Maybe I'll come back here and I'll be like, actually, I told you lies. I was able to get some reading done. But I don't see that happening. But we'll see. I feel like I should apologize because I'm always in the same place when I update this vlog, but this is just where I like to read, so just where it's gonna happen, I guess. I ended up having to do some things today that I wasn't planning on doing, and I had to help take my grandma to her doctor's appointment. So that took up a good chunk of my day. But I did finish the last 3 stories in Vampires Never Get Old, which is fantastic. Another check off of my bingo board. So that's exciting. The next story I read from it was Mirrors, Windows, and Selfies by Marco Shiro, which I really enjoyed, mostly because it was like done in blog format and you'd see people's comments on the posts and stuff, and I thought that was fun, and they always made me laugh. The next story after that was called The House of Black Sapphires by Donnell Clayton. And this one I just felt unsatisfied with. They were building up to something, but they never actually followed through with it. I didn't get the answers to the questions that they were building up throughout the story. So I thought it was okay. I just wanted more answers in the end, which happens a lot with short stories for me. The last one was First Kill by Victoria V.E. Schwab, which actually
might be my first Victoria Schwab story I've read. Could be. I can't think of one that I've read. So it's probably my first one, which is probably not someone's normal first V.E. Schwab story, but it's going to be mine. And I actually really enjoyed this one. I will say that it was another one that I wish that there was a few extra pages at the end, but overall it was a very fun read and I enjoyed it. Overall though, even though the first couple stories in this I was not like the biggest fan of, the majority of them I did end up enjoying, even if I wasn't always 100% satisfied with the endings of the stories. So I call that a win. It redeemed itself eventually. So I'm happy that I got to this. And I'd recommend the majority of the short stories. Not all of them, but they may be more your cup of tea than they were mine. Now, since I've finally finished on day 5, right? On day 5, I finally finished my 2 books that I started this readathon with. Go me. I'm gonna start my book that I wanted to read in the dark. I have an idea on how I will do that. We'll see if it actually pans out. It is dark outside, so we have that going for us. If anything else, I will be reading it at nighttime if I can't seem to read it very well when I just have one light on. We'll see how that works out. But anyways, that's Capitalism, A Ghost Story by Arundhati Roy. This is a nonfiction, and which makes me happy that it's less than 100 pages, because it's also intimidating. I mean, nonfiction in general is intimidating, and then we're talking about capitalism, and then I'm like even more intimidated because that sounds boring to read about. But on the back it says, Capitalism, A Ghost Story examines the dark side of democracy in contemporary India and shows how the demands of globalized capitalism have subjugated millions of people to the highest and most intense form of racism and exploitation. I'm expecting to be angry while I'm reading this. That is my expectations, especially with this quote on the back. Gorgeously wrought, pitch-perfect prose, in language of terrible beauty, she takes India's everyday tragedies and reminds us to be outraged all over again. So, expecting anger. And then another quote in the back, it says, in her searing account, Roy asks whether our shriveled forms of democracy will be the end game of the human race, and shows vividly why this is a prospect not to be lightly dismissed. So, I'm expecting to be angry. I hope that I find it enlightening though, because as previously stated, nonfiction is not my normal wheelhouse. So hopefully I enjoy it. I think the last few books I've been doing marks in this little notebook that I have, but I think I might actually annotate this physical copy because I just feel like that will be easier for me, and since I'm doing it in the dark, it'll probably just be easier in general. We'll see if that is good, and I'll probably just read the whole thing unless I have something very like prominent to say before I update you, but we'll have to see. I hope I enjoy it. I just thought it would be funny to read something that's called a ghost story in the dark, because you tell ghost stories in the dark. That's just what you do. So I thought it was funny, even though I'm expecting to be angry with these pages of information about real life India. So let me get started reading this, and I'll get back to you when I have something to say about what I'm reading. Hello, it's I just counted it, day 6 of the readathon, and
was gonna update you a little bit on what I read yesterday, but first of all, the background may have changed. But literally, this is the seat I'm normally sitting in slash reading in, and I just put you on the other side facing my bookshelves. So I'm still very much in the same spot. I just put you in a different spot. I don't know. I was like, I have to change this up somehow. And this is, I guess, how I'm doing it. I don't know. It is day 6. And I think I said I was working today. But if not, I did work today. And it ended up being way later. Not way later, but I had to be there longer than expected because system malfunction, whatever. Anyways, so I had to stay a little bit longer than I would normally. So that was fun. And then I had to de-snowify my car in ice. And I had forgotten to put gloves in my car, which, it's because the car I'm using is not actually my car. I'm borrowing it from my dad because my car is not working right now, which, is fantastic and fun. So if I had my car, I would have had gloves in it because I put a pair of gloves for my car inside my car because I live in Michigan where we have winters and it gets cold and I don't want to pump gas with freezing fingers. But anyways, I had to freeze to de-snowify my car. But once I got back, I did read a little bit more of Capitalism, a Ghost Story. And I did read most of what I've read. I've gotten to page 66 in this story, which means I just finished chapter 3 in this book. And as I expected, it's a lot. Especially when I don't know anything about India and how India politics works. So there's that. But also, just everything is so aggravating. And you're just like, why do you think this is right? And you know what? It's great. Everything comes down to people being greedy and wanting more money. And that's just how the cookie crumbled, I guess. It's just a lot to read. And I knew that going into it, even though I made it so that I put it on this list to read during a readathon. So I probably will end up going back to this to understand more about what was going on. But there is quite a lot of information thrown at you in the story, even though I only read 66 pages. Well, story, it's a nonfiction. So there's a lot of stuff that they talk about, and you're just like, that's just very sad. It's just very sad. Anyways, very aggravating. And I guess I can't really say much else than that. This book, I don't really know for certain how to talk about it. So, I guess that's all I will say about it. I am interested in what's going on as much as you can when you're just so annoyed with everything that it's talking about. Like, why is this happening? And you're just so over everybody being so money hungry, power hungry. And you're just like, why? Can't you just all chill just a little bit? Do you understand how devastating your actions are towards other people? And the answer is probably no. Or they just don't care. And that is just so. It's just, yeah. I think you all understand what I'm saying. It's just, you just. And plus, this book was written in 2014. So now I'm like, is it worse now? Because the way the world is going is probably worse now. And I probably feel like I don't want to read this book. But also, I feel like I need to read this book. Anyways, that is my update. I guess I'm just gonna leave it at that, and I'll probably finish tomorrow, maybe. Hopefully, I finish this book before the end of the readathon. I want to at least start my best friend's exorcism because I don't know. Should I start best friend's exorcism after this? I feel like I should get a fun book after this book. I don't know if I want to read my best friend's exorcism. I mean, people have said that it's fun, like in a scary, spooky skeletons kind of way. So maybe it'll be okay. I could read an F.T. Lukens because their books are always fun. I don't know, I'll think about it. I still have to finish this book first before, but I might still decide to pick up my best friend's exorcism after this because I'm definitely not going to read Capitalist Must Starve after this one because I need a break from all of this. And I think Capitalist Must Starve is going to be, even though it's a fiction take on this topic, I think it's still going to be very aggravating and very makes you want to hit some people. I'm not gonna update you until tomorrow, and hopefully I can finish this and then maybe start another book. But whether that's going to be a book from my TBR already or something out of the blue is up for debate. So we'll see. Or, well, you'll see. I will already know. At this point in time that you're watching this, I already know what I'm going to do. Hopefully. But you can still find out. I will talk to you on the final day of Summerween. It is the final day of Winterween, so that's exciting. I did finish Capitalism, A Ghost Story earlier today. Did I start my best friend's exorcism? Nope. Did I start another book at all? Nope. So I am just going to end the readathon having read 3 books, which is actually pretty decent for me within a 7 day span to have finished 3 books. So I'm pretty proud of myself. So that's good. And I also, for the bingo, I got quite a bit of the spots, except for bake a treat, watch a scary movie, read a horror thriller, or read a book with red on the cover. Technically, I could use my Vampire Never Gets Old book for the red on the cover. So that's even more spots to mark off. And I still got that diagonal line, so I mean, I got a bingo kinda. I just didn't black out the board, which I'm proud of. After the bingo update, to talk about Capitalism, A Ghost Story, it still continued to be a lot and to be quite aggravating. Learning about how corrupt the government is. They were talking about India specifically, but they compared what was happening to India to the US quite often. India very much is trying to imitate what's happening in the US, and what the author was talking about in this, you could totally see that. And she did point out like where this version of the government came from, and she was pulling examples from the US government. So that's fun. I don't know. I did end up pulling out tabs to tab some of the quotes and stuff. And I definitely think that this is a book that, to fully grasp everything that was going on, I will have to come back to it. I also really want to, because this book was published in 2014, and I really would like to find something that's more current, because 2014 was quite a long time ago. Getting some more information about what's going on now currently, I think would probably be good. But if you're at all curious about things that went down in India, government wise, I think this would be a good read, and it's not like it's super long, so it wouldn't, like, yes, I would suggest taking your time with it more than I did, to like fully understand everything that's going on. And if you have like some prior knowledge to things that are going on or have gone on in India, you'll probably be able to understand what was happening in this more than I did. But even as someone that had no prior knowledge going into it, I did follow along for the most part. I do wish I did stop for some of it to like actually look up what they were talking about specifically, but I feel like that is going to be a future thing that I will be doing. That was my last book for Winterween. Some wrap up stuff for the week of reading. The only two books on my Winterween TBR that I started with at the beginning that I didn't read were My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, which I don't know when I will get to. I still want to read it. It's just not going to be probably soon. Maybe I will pick it up in Summerween. Who's to say? And then I also didn't get to Capitalists Must Starve, but this is a book club pick for January, so I will be reading it, hopefully. But my hope is to finish it by the end of this month. It's just probably not going to be the next book I read because I want a little break from this. Too close to home right now, I guess. The first book I finished was Of Ink and Ash by S. Strahan, and then I finished the vampire short story collection called Vampires Never Get Old by a lot of people: Samari Ahmed, Donnell Clayton, Tessa Gratton, Heidi Helig, Julie Murphy, Mark Rochero, Rebecca Roanhorse, Lori Ruby, V.E. Schwab, Kayla Wiley, and then the editors were Zorita Cordova and Natalie C. Parker. Why did I list all of those? I don't know. They all need to be represented, I guess, because they're all authors in the story. I don't know. Anyways, and then obviously I just talked to you about this. I read Capitalism, a Ghost Story by our dude Arundhati Roy. I'm sorry if that is the wrong pronunciation. I feel like every time I've said her name, I've said it differently. Also, just side note, yes, I can tell that my fingerprints are all over this book. I can't do anything about that. I also joined reading sprints, which were fun. And then, what else did I do? Oh, I listened to a Halloween playlist. Also fun. Felt weird to listen to a Halloween playlist during January, but that's fine. Hopefully you enjoyed my Winterween vlog, and if you participated in Winterween, hopefully you had an enjoyable time and you found some really good books and some new favorites. I don't know if these books I finished reading are going to be widely talked about from me, but maybe they'll sit in my head longer and I will come to appreciate them more than I do now. That's all I have for you. Hopefully you were entertained by me talking about these books, because I feel like this was kind of a boring vlog because I really didn't do much of anything, which I guess I don't normally do much of anything on my vlogs because I don't like filming outside of my room. So anything I do in my room is what I video. And I don't do much in my room except for sit in this chair, watch YouTube, or read. So sometimes I rewatch a show that I've watched a million times. That is also something I do. I hope you had a good Winterween, and if you didn't participate in Winterween, I hope that the start of your reading year so far has been fantastic. 1,000,000 5 stars for you. If you've read 1,000,000 books, that's crazy. I think you would have to read more than one. You probably have to read more than one book a minute. But anyways, besides the point. I hope you're having a good reading year so far. and I hope to see you in another video soon, but I make no promises. Bye.